What's up, everybody? Another episode of Unbiased Sports Talk. We might as well just call this the coaches edition, because I know we're gonna get a lot of information from all of y'all.
There you go. I'm with it.
I would start off with the Baltimore Ravens because I have a screenshot of somebody telling me that this was going to be a tall order for the Ravens to beat the 49ers, but I'll leave that for another day. Let's just go ahead, just jump right to it. Let's just jump to y'all's skill set, y'all's things, wide receivers. I coach wide receivers, but that's really y'all thing. Let's talk about George Pickens.
Oh, let's.
Yes. So the question for y'all about George Pickens is this. Is George Pickens' performance these past 2 weekends, is this a reflection of bad coaching, him as a player, or both? Let me start with you, Mo. What's your thoughts on George Pickens? Or the situation? What's your thoughts? Answer the question.
I mean, when I think of Pickens, I see a kid that was in college. I didn't think he was like spectacular. Like it's a bunch of talent, I think talent gets overrated a lot of the times, right? Like what you can do versus what you actually do. When I look at George Pickens, like he doesn't get any separation. That's a George Pickens problem. He can blame Matt Canada. He can blame Kenny Pickett. He can blame whoever he wants. He doesn't get the separation that deems for the ball to be thrown to him as much as he wants the ball to be thrown to him. The only person I've seen do that at a high rate is like DeAndre Hopkins. In the latter years of his career, but even D-Hop as a young player was getting separation on the other side of Andre Johnson, and then he took over the mantle and he became that dude, right? Like, so my whole thing with George Pickens is like, son, like you're not open. A lot of his film, he's not open. He still wants the ball, and I think we've been enamored by these crazy 50-50 passes that he catches, right? And I'm not gonna denounce the amazing catches, but like you can't make a career out of that. And I think the worst thing that happened to me personally, for me with him, is that he had that big game after the week that he didn't block on that play. And I think that's gonna give him some more gusto to feel like he can continue to play that way and not sacrifice for the team the way he needs to when he's not getting the ball. We know wide receivers, we all want the ball. Anybody that's ever played wide receiver wants the ball, but there's going to be stretches in time where the ball doesn't come to you. You still got to be a good teammate. You still got to go out there and block. Blocking is a part of the job. Brandon Ayuk is a prime example of that, as we've seen all year. I think he's the best example we've seen all year on a couple of plays that C-Mac could have probably got a 20-yard run. It burst into a 60, 70, 80-yard run. You know what I mean? So George Pickens got some growing up to do. And Mike Tomlin got some coaching to do over there, to one of your points a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Go and jump in, Greg.
So, first and foremost, as far as we talk about the complete receiver, I've got a very simple motto for my receivers at Tuscarora High School: no block, no rock, because the film don't lie. And then we'll stop the film all the time. Look at how you're blocking. But I wouldn't do anything for you. I wouldn't lay my body on the line for not nobody blocking. And it's funny, you mentioned Brandon Ayuk. I was telling my father Christmas night just how great of a blocker he was. Anquan Bolden was a phenomenal blocker, especially in Baltimore. Jason Avant was a great blocker in Philadelphia for LaShawn McCoy for those years. And people forget, early in his career, Randy Moss was a great blocker also. Like, we know him for mossing people. Go watch Robert Smith runs in the late 90s, early 2000s. Randy Moss was a great blocker on the edge. He always got downfield and got in front. Terrell Owens did the same thing. So for anyone to think they're above the job is ridiculous. That's just out of control. And as far as, Mike Tomlin with this whole thing goes, he's given me two phrases in my coaching career that I'll never forget. The first one is, you get what you emphasize. So if this is what you're getting, then Tomlin, what are you emphasizing or allowing? And I've defended this man for so long. What are you emphasizing every day? I need to see what that looks like. And the other thing is, we tolerate you till we can replace you. He used to say that all the time. So what you're saying is you can't replace George Pickens because you're tolerating a hell of a lot right now. And Bo, you brought up such a great point about what you can and can't make a career out of. You get guys that stretch careers in the league all the time because they do all the little things right. If you're not a little things guy, you're not going to last very long in the league. It's just how it is. And that includes special teams. That includes blocking. being flexible with your route tree, being able to adjust from this coordinator to that coordinator. The strong survive, not the most talented. There's a lot of talented guys that are 3 years and out the league. That's where that average comes from. So, on so many levels.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? On so many levels, I'm like, Tomlin, I want to go watch what practice looks like because I've defended you as a disciplinarian far too long. First, it was AB, and Ryan Clark was talking about when Antonio Brown cussed out Dick LeBeau at practice after he got his new deal. Well, where was Tomlin when Dick LeBeau was getting cussed out by AB? How long did this go
on? Honestly, I'm just gonna stop right there. I'm not gonna really jump into.
Ron,
yeah, what's up?
Can I say one more slogan that Greg mentioned? One more slogan that, from Mike Tomlin's standpoint, from the standard is what he always says, isn't he?
Yeah. So where's the standard now?
Go ahead, Ron.
Right, and that's why I'm not gonna even jump into George Pickens and stuff because. I gotta keep it fair. The dude is still young, off topic a little bit. Someone asked me about Anthony Edwards and how the situation how I would have handled the situation if I was Anthony Edwards. I'm like, I'm a totally different era. You know what I mean? In the sense of how situations are handled. You know what I mean? So I'm going to not really critique, George Pickens, but I will critique. Mike Tomlin because you're the common denominator out of all these receivers. Antonio Brown, Juju, Martavius Bryant, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, now George Pickens. And it was so crazy too when I talked to I'm about to start referring to
but I think
people as fans. Fans understand surface level
Juju should be in that list.
Huh? What? Who you say? All right.
I just don't think Juju should be on that list. But I get why you mentioned it, but I think to be fair to Juju, I think Juju is playful stuff. You know what I mean? Juju gave effort on the field at all times.
Of course. But I mean, you're right, but I was about to actually tack into it, right? Something small can become big, especially when you're losing. Like when you're losing, that TikTok shit can become bigger. Like going back to Chase Claypool, right? He was doing the whole first down with the ball. You were winning. But then that game when they were playing against the Minnesota Vikings and you did it again, you were losing. So it kind of tells me a lot more on how these coaches, and I got to start with Mike Tomlin, how you handling these guys when the cameras are off. It's kind of letting me know you're not really doing nothing at all.
And that's my worst fear of him, especially as a black coach. Man, you can't let that slide. Everything you do, even when you're winning, you're under the microscope. So what do you think is going to happen when you're last in the division?
That's why I agree with you what you said about Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark was right. If you don't catch him now, it's going to be worse later. You got to get to him now. And we all been around football long enough, whether as a teammate or as a coach, we all been there like, hey, Mo, if you don't get him now, he gonna think he gonna strap you up all day. Mo, you better get to him now, Mo. Stop playing with him. Anyways, moving on. I thought this was a very good topic to bring up because I want to hear everybody's basketball intellect. If there was one guy in the 90s that was a Hall of Famer that would not be a Hall of Famer in today's basketball, who would it be? If you was to pick one, I got my one.
I got mine, and my answer kind of breaks my heart, and y'all might dog me for this. I don't know that Charles Barkley would be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, goddamn.
And I love Charles. I love Charles. Because when I watch him, you watch his game, here's the biggest thing. I just don't know how much of it really translates. Look where the NBA is right now. I mean, in all seriousness, I'd have to physically see him guard some of these guys because he's known for the toughness. He's known for the rebounding. He's known for so many things. Because think about it. And offensively, his production is going to drop because what does he do particularly well, especially shooting?
Okay, hold on. Hold that thought. Greg, who's yours? Because I think we all got one. Don't say nothing, Bo. Just say yours. Who yours? I got mine. Maybe people.
Well, I have a 1B, but I want to hear y'all.
I want to hear Mo's. Who's Mo's one? Because I got something to say to yours, Greg. Because I don't like your answer. I don't like your answer at all.
Ron, I need you to go because I need some more things.
Mo need a minute. Mo need a minute.
All right, mine's a Scottie Pippen.
Whoa.
Mine's a Scottie. And I used Scottie as an example because I use Scottie because of this example of this, right? Because Charles Barkley is a good example, but Greg, I don't know about that one. But when I look at Scottie, through the years, offensively, what small forward is he better than? Offensively, of today's game, that he would be the lead argument.
Can I make an argument?
Go.
I don't think it's only two small forwards. I think in the history of basketball
of the game that are better than
that have not gotten a chance to show everything. That got to show everything that they can show. And it was Scottie Pippen because of Michael Jordan's presence on the court and James Worthy.
Okay.
With Showtime, absolutely.
Because of Magic Johnson and Kareem.
I
think James Worthy, if James Worthy played on his own team, James Worthy's 25 plus in the 80s, in the 90s.
Okay.
Who's yours, with everything else that he did too.
Who's yours, Mo?
Oh, mine is John Stockton. That's easy. John Stockton. John Stockton gets cooked in this NBA.
Well, John Stockton low-key got cooked in his day, but his offensive efficiency was so ridiculous he could validate it.
And he didn't score enough on offense to match what the firepower of this era is. I think in that era, averaging 12 to 15 points on a team with a perennial almost leading scorer in the league with Karl Malone, I think that, you add the 15 points with the 12 assists, it makes for the second most formidable player on the court because he's controlling the game essentially, right? But like John Stockton on his lonely, I don't know if he's still a Hall of Famer because we're talking about guys like he couldn't check Mark Jackson in them. What are you going to do with Russell? What are you going to do with John Morant? What are you going to do with these guys? The point guard is the premier position now. Point guard is small forward, the premier position, and the athletes at the point guard are just ridiculous right now. I don't see. Remember, he was a beast on defense too with the steals.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't see that him being that formidable on defense either with these guys. He's too small. He's probably too slow, and he can't play the lanes the way that they have the ball in their hand nowadays. He can't just play the passing lane.
So hold on, Greg, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Let's get back to Charles Barkley. So hold on. So you do, me personally, you do know. I think Charles Barkley. I think Charles Barkley in today's game is a hybrid of Draymond Green and Zach Randolph. Straight up bully ball, and he could play like a lot of the positions.
He can. Here would be my biggest thing. As far as post defense, I mean, can you imagine what do you think he'll do in the post against some of the premier post offensive guys in the league today?
He'll be just fine
because there's so much more. But there's so much more skilled.
Okay, hold on, Greg.
Greg, cut it out, Greg. Who's playing in the post nowadays, Greg? Who plays in the post nowadays? It's three guys.
Hold on, Greg.
Go ahead and name them.
Hold on, time out. Hold on. This is my Mo's my witness to this. Because me and Mo go back and forth about this person all the time. I say this all the time about LeBron going into the post because there's plenty of people down there that just can't handle him. Plenty of people that just can't handle them. So you're talking about Charles Barkley going down there at the 4 because there's not more than 5 guys down there that can handle Charles.
All I'm saying is life is going to be a lot harder because everybody's over 6'6" now. Come on. Everybody's over 6'6" now. That's going to be hard.
Remember, That is very true, Greg. But remember Charles Barkley's game. Remember young Charles. Young Charles was a locomotive. He was the Charles almost took Michael Jordan to Game 7 in the finals with Dan Marley.
He did.
Charles had a mid-range. Charles was starting to shoot the three a little bit, not that much. I'm not going to give him too much credit for that. But Charles was all over the floor. And in the way that the NBA is spaced out now, you're going to give Charles a wing with his big frame and his athleticism and the jump shot he had and the way he can get to the rack and finish. Charles is going to average 40.
Charles is is a big reason why I chose Scotty. Great answer about what Mo said. I got no fight back for that. Because my thing is for Scotty, how often did we see him with the on button at the scoring position and he had to be the lead honcho? I could say that for Charles. Charles had the on button all day.
He did, but here's my biggest thing with that also. If I'm guarding Charles in the modern NBA, if I'm game planning to stop Barkley, I'm going to do what the Dallas Mavericks did to LeBron in 2011. I'm going to make him shoot because I can sag off and plug the middle a little more. You're not going to play man like everybody did in that era. You're not. He's going to have to beat me shooting. He's going to have to beat me shooting.
But Greg, respectfully, LeBron fizzled out in there because LeBron didn't want to go down there. LeBron wasn't wired to go down there. Charles is wired to go down there. Remember, Charles was doing it in the era full of trees. With the Patrick Ewings down there, with the Elijah ones down there, with the Shaqs down there, and he was still getting it off.
Greg, on December 27th.
With the harder competition down there.
Greg, on December 27th, you got me and Mo agreeing with each other.
Hey, you know what? First time for everything. Listen, we're going to plug it up. He's going to have to show me he'll go through three people to score at a time. He's just going to have to show me. That's all I'm saying. He's going to have to show me.
All right.
If he does, I tell you, keep in mind.
It's rare. It is very rare. It is very rare that I agree with Ron Thornell on anything. And you have made me and him.
Now his internet's fading.
We don't agree on anything while he's fixing his internet. We don't agree on a damn thing, but we do collect a lot of notes from each other from what we said to each other. But at the end of the day, we're all just playing the hypotheticals. I could be wrong about Scotty. You could be right about Charles Barkley. We could all be right about John Stockton.
And bro, I'm a Charles fan. I got the Philly and the Phoenix jersey. I'm a Charles fan. I would just worry about him in today's NBA.
Got you. All right, let's move on. Hopefully, when he chimes back in, we'll fix it all up. Is he go? There we go. All right. Anyways, that's history. You made us agree in before 2024. Oh my God, Greg. I can't believe. All right. Anyways, it
was a lot of low hanging fruit there, Greg.
Yeah,
there was a lot of low hanging fruit there.
Hey, somebody got to be controversial, man.
Hey, a deeper topic, and let's get in our bag. Let's get in this bag for this one because there's a lot of shittery going on right now. What's the solution of getting more black coaches head coach jobs in the NFL?
Mo, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Oh, man. I mean, if we're being honest, man, until we see a change at the top, until we see the people that are actually employing the people change, it's going to be hard, man. Like I was having a conversation the other day about like this is the richest African Americans have ever been, right? And the NFL owners will not let a group of all black people or black people in other fields like entertainment and whatnot pile their money together to buy a team. They won't let them do it. Like the black man has to be a minority owner. He has to be a part of, like, until we get those GMs, until we get those, even if it's not the owners, but we got to get like some team presidents and things like that in place that want to go back and lend a hand. If you're looking at the coaching carousel every year, it's nothing but the has-beens just being circling around. Why? Because they go back and go grab their homeboy. right? They go grab their homeboy from their staff who was a young coach or something like that, that's working their way up, and they give him a chance. Like the coach Coach Gannon for the Arizona Cardinals. How does he have a job? I don't care what if the Eagles won. The Eagles didn't even win the Super Bowl. How does he have a job?
Your boy Staley.
You know what I mean? How does he have a job? Staley had arguably the best defensive player ever, and Jalen Ramsey on the same defense. Got a Super Bowl out of it, went across town to Los Angeles, and never again, Ron, has his defense been over number 28 in the league. And he's a defensive coordinator. And you got me over here talking about Herbert ain't good because of this guy.
Oh my God! Okay, well, that's a topic for another day.
So until these people are sitting in the chairs that make the decisions and are trusted by these owners to make these decisions on their lonely, it's gonna be hard, man. Because we got a lot of qualified guys, man. Look what Antonio Pierce is doing with the Raiders, man. He done completely shifted that locker room.
I mean, you got a defensive
Anthony
head
Lynn
coach
got fired when
set the
Justin
record
Herbert
for most points ever in franchise history, in a very storied franchise, by the way.
Right.
I mean, but piggybacking
Very
on what
much
you
so
said,
true, man. And do you guys know that Anthony Lynn got fired after a season where he went 7-9 with a rookie quarterback that he didn't even want to start week 1? Did y'all know that? The year that Justin Herbert came on to the scene?
Yeah, we know that.
Tyrod Taylor was supposed to be the starting quarterback.
It was a year after Hard
And they
Knocks.
fired that man after They fired him, Ron, after a 7-9 season with a rookie quarterback that threw for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. What are you supposed to do?
Right.
What can a black man do at that point?
Well,
that is ass a 9, ass a 10, ass a 11.
Go on and jump in, Greg.
I mean, the goal, and first and foremost, we got to understand that the goalpost is always going to move for us, right? I mean, after the 2012 season, Lovie Smith went 10-6 and got fired because Adrian Peterson went apeshit that year. You know what I mean? It's just so ridiculous to look at it from that standpoint of like, well, where's the bar versus
as if all the other years that Lovie Smith was.
For us, it's a 2-year project. You better get this turned around. For them, it's a 5-year project. Well, why does he get 5 years if he comes from such strong heritage and coaching background and his tree is so strong and it's set in the third? And here's the other part. I'm tired of us taking the slaves on a plantation, we better do what they tell us type attitude, because I think the players got to come to vouch for these guys also. And because I have not heard too many players vouching for these coaches openly in the media saying, you know what, I really appreciate what the system coach so-and-so has in play. And in the future, we're going to be something to talk about, man. He keeps this up. Yeah, we're on board. We never talk about us as if it's the future. We always talk about us as if it's the right now. Whereas I wish we would speak these things into existence and say, yeah, but when coach comes back next year, yeah, we're going to have something. Because then when they don't bring it back, the ownership is now already looking like, well, they expect this guy to be back next year. So if we get rid of him, we might have a little bit of a storm on our hands. If all the players like this guy and we finish the year with 4 straight victories, don't make the playoffs, or we lose in the first round because of what McDaniels has put us through the first X amount, can we really blame this guy? Because the whole locker room, what's it called? The Raiders locker room ain't looked like that since they went to the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay 20 years ago. So looking at it, these players, I'm putting it on us now. We got to go to bat for these guys. We got to say, I love the system coach has in play. We're one player away from being where we want to be, but you got to give my man time. I love the way he talks to us, coaches us at practice. The offseason looked great. He's regimented, he's scheduled, he's organized, and he took over a terrible situation and now got the locker room partying after beating a division rival that we have not beaten forever. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I think.
And Ron, what?
Jump in, Mark. Go on.
Like, to your point, right? To your point, these franchise quarterbacks, it's going to take them. It's going to take these guys, right? Like this, the way that Aaron Rodgers rides hard for Nathaniel Hackett, it's going to take these franchise quarterbacks to say, look, you invested $250 million in me. That's the guy I want. That's the guy I want. Like, and it can't be he's the first one to go. He's the scapegoat. It can't be he's the scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
And until it kind of goes back to like right when after the George Floyd situation, I don't want to take that serious matter and apply it to here, but like remember when the NFL players had to make the video by themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And like they put all the faces of the league on it, and then the
Mm-hmm.
NFL approved it and put the commercial out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to take that kind of banding together from the players. These guys that are the guys with the franchise. It can't just be like, it doesn't matter. It has to be like they gotta move some furniture around. They gotta move some furniture in the room.
Yeah, they're past.
They gotta be like a hard stance. Like this, what?
Right. I think the problem when it comes to whether it's the NFL, college, or even high school, right? Only probably you don't really find it a problem in the high school is because in a lot of the public areas you have a lot of the same culture on the sideline. The problem I feel like both in college and in the NFL is one problem is you have too many like-minded people in the office and on the field, but you have a lot of black scouts going out to go get players. Second thing is the position of being a head coach is not popular. Like I kind of compare head coaches to referees, right? A lot of guys don't want to quit playing and be referees when it's really needed. Like we need more of our own players to ref these games. And I feel the same way when it comes to the coaching positions, right? Like I did my little research and there's so many black coaches that had to be interns. They had to be these made up positions just to get jobs. And I'm just like, prime example, like Byron Leftwich. I did research on Byron Leftwich. I said that man is qualified to go be a quarterback's coach right now. Why is he an assistant? Why is he an intern? Why are you making him go through that?
He's an analyst. Analyzing what? How bad your coach is?
And analyzing what? And we see it. Like, if you know ball, and that's why I enjoy talking to y'all, even though I go back and forth with Mo all the time, I actually enjoy going back and forth with Mo all the time because there's so many layers to the game of like the solution, the problem, but it's always great to kind of get to the consensus of what the issue is. You know what I mean? Because like Monday night is an example, right? I felt like the 49ers disrespected the Ravens. They ran plays they've been running since week 1. They did not change. But that's because of who's in office, and that's because of like who's giving these guys the okay, versus like I feel like there should be evolution every game in the sense of who we playing, who we adjusting. Like we go next game, like hey Mo, this ain't the day to be running skinnies or goes. This is the game to be running comebacks and hitches.
Like cut them up underneath. Like
kill them, like go after them and stuff, right? So. Basically, I feel like we need to, as media, as us, keep pushing the guys that have those positions and keep praising them so we can get more people to come out, because Deion's doing a great job. Antonio Pierce is doing a great job. Shout out to Mike Thomas. Shout out for Mike Thomas still having a job. I don't like some of the things he's doing, but still shout out. The man's still able to keep a team above 500. We need him. Shout out to Al Harris. God damn.
Al Harris is a phenomenal.
Al Harris has been breeding some corners over there.
Absolutely.
Wherever he goes, that defense gets better.
Exactly. There's a trend wherever he goes.
Wherever he goes, that defense gets better.
Right.
But while we're talking about black coaches and such, like. After this year and what we've kind of seen going on in Washington, what are y'all's thoughts on Eric B at this point?
Nothing. I got nothing. It's 1 year.
Listen,
yeah, absolutely. But there's people calling for his head. And I'm like,
but everybody's calling for his head, but not looking at the problem.
Oh yeah,
the offensive line cannot block.
Offensive line, rookie quarterback. Basically rookie on the field.
Like, come on, man. The kid is practically a rookie, right? Practically a rookie. The offensive line is historically bad. Historically, I think they benched him the other day so they don't get the sack record. I don't think it was his play. I swear to God. That's how bad the line is.
Hey,
right? So how am I supposed to be efficient? How am I supposed to show you everything My play calling has to fluctuate because these guys, my quarterback my quarterback back there like it's target practice.
Right.
And I give Sam Howell a lot of credit. That kid is tough as nails. To be getting back there and getting hit the way he gets hit, and some of the times it's his fault because he's holding on to the ball. But like if guys ain't open, I've always had a problem with that when they say, "Oh, somebody's holding on to the ball." Clearly, nobody open.
Right.
Clearly, nobody's open because he showed you on many other plays that he can get the ball out of his hand.
And I can't get outside
so
the pocket to throw it away because these guys can't even block.
And I can't get outside the pocket.
Hey, Greg, it ain't the coaches. It ain't the coach's fault if the players don't got this.
Oh, you can't fix that.
If your players don't got this, if your players are okay with getting pushed around, that's not on the coaches. Because I look at that Washington's O-line, because it ain't the receivers. Those receivers are dogs. You know what I mean? I met some of their receivers. Their receivers are dogs. They got this. That line don't. That line is I don't know what's wrong with them. I feel like Alabama does a better job.
Mm-hmm. I bet. Hey, I'd like to see them go head to head.
Hey man,
I said it.
Hey, show me a bad team, and 9 times out of 10, it starts with the offensive line.
No man, it's the whole game.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like
that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh yeah, shout out to Miko Ryans.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about it. Not only he's a rookie head coach, I believe. This is his first opportunity. And he's doing it with a rookie quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's kind of special.
I mean, if Detroit wasn't playing the way they was playing, I would have him as coach of the year.
Yeah, you don't have to be the best team to get coach of the year. I agree.
He's probably still going to win it. He's probably still going to win it, Ron. Yeah, they were the second pick in the draft last year.
Yeah, that is nuts.
To be quite honest, they were the second pick in the draft last year.
All right. Last topic of the night, my Power 5 rankings. At number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, the 49ers. Number 3, the Miami Dolphins. Number 4, the Cleveland Browns. And number 5, the Detroit Lions. How you feel about it?
You know, I'll say this. I got Detroit in front of Cleveland for power rankings. I'm not saying Cleveland is off. Now, I'll say this. Cleveland under Flacco these past 2 games, do they not look – Flacco's having the same impact on Cleveland that Kurt Warner had on the Cardinals toward the end, and even that Carson Palmer had on the Cardinals toward the end. You see these quarterbacks, once they feel like the game is slowed down, all of a sudden they look so much better, and you're like, he's not better. He's just smarter, and he's been here before. And they were joking about your boy Flacco, and they were like, these safeties don't feel like nothing to him. This man dealt with Palomalu for 15 years. This don't feel like nothing to him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm used to Harrison blowing me up over here, Lawrence Timmons on the other side, Ryan Clark knocking my receivers out, and Palomalu's everywhere. You think I'm worried about the New York Jets?
Right now, I'm picking Joe Flacco over Massage Envy.
Clearly, the locker room and the huddle changed.
You are not nice, Ron. You're not nice.
Oh,
listen, man.
I mean,
Miami. I think Miami's too high. I don't care how bad San Fran got dismantled the other day. A lot of that was tips. 3 of those interceptions were tips. Mm-hmm. Which I'm not saying it did not happen. What I'm saying is that doesn't happen often, right? And they were due for a sloppy game. So that happens. That was one of the better games of the whole NFL season in terms of like coming in and 2 teams being at an equal level. I think that they were the same team in different conferences. Because quiet as kept coming into that game. Lamar had won 8 out of the 9 games coming into that. Right? They were in Baltimore
won by 14 plus against over 500 teams or whatever. That's an impressive resume.
Something like, and think about it. I was saying before that game, I'm on record before that game that quiet as kept that Lamar, if they weren't, because I feel like they don't want to give it to Brock Purdy, because if they give it to Brock Purdy, right? Like, let's say Brock Purdy played an average game the other game, right? If they gave it to Brock Purdy, every scouting department in the NFL is stupid because he goes from a last guy in the draft pick to an MVP within a calendar year. You're an idiot, or draft gurus are idiots at this point, right? So I think that it was going to be hard for Brock Purdy to get it. I thought the MVP race was really a Lamar and CMC type of deal.
Absolutely.
My dark horse in the MVP conversation, who I really think the MVP of the season is, and a lot of people are not going to agree with me because of the turnovers, but I think it's because his team doesn't have enough wins. I think the MVP is Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
I think Josh Allen is the best player.
You were going to say Josh Allen.
Because, okay, so give me a second to explain this, Ron. Give me a second to explain this, Ron, because I see you already. Only because this is a down quarterback year. Am I lying? This is Lamar Jackson seems to win it every time the quarterback years are down. The first year he won, he only threw like 32 touchdowns.
36.
Typically, the touchdowns are in the 40s.
And this year,
36, but he also had like 10, right? And he had like 1,200 yards rushing, right?
And he's got 19 this year or something.
No, for sure. Like this year, like he doesn't even have like 25 touchdowns passing. Right. So like Lamar, like don't. So in when I'm looking across the board, like, all right, yeah, Josh Allen has 17 turnovers, but he has 40 touchdowns. And before James Cook went crazy 2 weeks ago, he was leading the team in rushing. He has the most rushing touchdowns on the team, and he's about the top 30 touchdowns again for like the 5th straight year. So, as I've always said about him, Ron, what do I call Josh Allen? Josh Allen is, remember Pokemon? Remember Pokemon, the last form?
Yeah.
He's the last form of Cam Newton. He's the last form of Cam Newton. He's the what's that? Not Charman. He's the Charmeleon or whatever of Cam Newton quarterbacks. Big, strong, can run because he can actually throw the football. You know what I mean? Because he can actually like if Cam Newton could throw the football the way this guy throw the football, Cam Newton would be the greatest football player to ever exist.
But do we think he can? Because what if Cam Newton would have had? Like, what if Cam Newton has to?
I thought that Josh. I still think that Josh. Huh?
I mean, what if Cam Newton has Stephon Diggs? Do we think he can't throw the football?
I didn't hear the last question. I feel you. But Cam Newton is wildly inaccurate. Sure. He's wildly inaccurate. Right? Like, I think Stephon, you know, that's another topic for another day because I'm going to get Ron into his bag. No, Ron, we're about to close out the show. Do not extend this show because of that. We'll talk about that offline, me and you.
Now, here's all I'll say about MVP.
I think
Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead.
In a down quarterback year, I think Lamar is the MVP because like Lamar's stats don't scream at you in any direction. He's just the best player on the best team. That was my final. I'm sorry. So hogging up the airspace.
You know, and as much as I completely get that with the numbers, because you know it's funny, they did one of those player A, player B things on one of my Facebook groups, and they had about the same stats. And when they revealed who it was Lamar Jackson and David Carr.
And Jared Goff.
And it was kind of weird because you looked at their stats side by side, and I was like, okay, yeah, that was kind of weird. But, you know, Lamar Jackson has real Ric Flair energy right now from a standpoint of in order to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And he went on the road and beat both of them. That's where his love's coming from.
Yep. That's facts. That's a fact.
That was the heavyweight fight.
Greg. That's a great fact, actually.
I'm not gonna lie.
And he.
This is how I feel about. It's going to relate to my power rankings. Whoever team is in the power ranking, that's where the MVP should be at. Also,
it matters. It
matters because.
But Ron, let's define MVP then. Let's define MVP, Ron, because is MVP the best player on the best team?
I want to use your example, though, because you made a great example. Because to be honest with you, I've never seen a down year like this before ever in quarterback history. Most of the premier quarterbacks are playing at a high level. almost everybody's having a down year. You know what I mean? Justin Herbert is a premier quarterback.
And they're hurt. And they're out. And they're out.
And they're out. And they're hurt.
It's like
Mahomes ain't playing good.
And then here's another thing, too. Josh is not too far from Dak in this sense, right? Not too far, right? Dak, you only perform well against low 500 teams. And then Josh Allen.
Don't do that to Josh Allen. Don't do that to Josh Allen. Don't do that to Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, though, he's been in too many games where he's cost the team games, and he's been in too many close games because of him.
Right.
So listen, you said we can't. Right. I can't ignore 40 touchdowns, but I damn sure can't ignore 17 turnovers. Which you made some very tight games for no reason. Because I'll say this, my vote will be Christian McCaffrey.
Can I ask you a question, Ron?
I'm listening.
Ron, you know Christian McCaffrey's not going to get it because even with Christian McCaffrey's season this year, plenty of running backs have done more than what Christian McCaffrey's done this year and not won MVP. Sean Alexander had 28 touchdowns. LaDainian Tomlinson had 35 touchdowns. Like we've seen this from running backs, right?
But your matchups matter though. Your matchups matter. No, he's dominated the Eagles and he's dominated the Cowboys. He's dominated the Eagles and he's dominated the Eagles. He dominated the Eagles. He dominated the Cowboys.
Hear me out with Josh Allen. Hear me out with Josh Allen. Prior to James Cook's resurgence in the last couple of weeks, the run game non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
The only he has Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid started coming along. If an elite quarterback scores 30 points, Greg, they should win the game. True or false?
True 100 times out of 100.
True.
So Buffalo's defense is giving up like 27 points in like 8 games. Josh Allen went down and scored a touchdown, bro, and left 47 seconds on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Them defensive players let them drive down the field, get a field goal, go to overtime. Josh Allen doesn't touch the ball again. Game over. I'm sorry. I've seen that too many times out of Buffalo this year. When Josh Allen takes them down for what they call it, when you a score change where he goes up. And in the final minutes of the game, the defense lets them drive to baby honey badger, number 7, Teron Johnson, like that. He gave up a pass interference in the end zone. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, but here's
they let Tyrod Taylor get down to the 1-yard line.
But here's
Greg, I'm a Giants fan. I'm a New York Giants fan. They let Tyrod Taylor take the ball down with 1:27 seconds to the 1-yard line.
That ain't supposed to happen. I'm gonna just be real.
But see, hold on. That's where. But
that
again,
ain't never supposed to happen, bro.
But I agree with you. About that. But then here's my issue though with when it comes to this, right? Because this is what a lot of other people are doing on ESPN, Undisputed and stuff, right? I'm not going to ignore Josh Allen's greatness. Like I said before, I'm not going to ignore Josh Herbert. But at the same time, though, I'm not going to ignore the games that you made close also. Like, he's made some games very unnecessary.
No, that he does. But when you're a turnover machine, it's kind of what you get.
So it's like I can't reward somebody when at the same time you put yourself in this predicament.
But Ron, if my quarterback has to do everything for me every single game, I listen. When I go into the year, when I go into his football season, if my quarterback's elite, I give him, Greg. If my quarterback's elite and my defense is good, right? If my quarterback's elite and my defense is good, my quarterback only gets 2 slip-ups. If my defense is bad, I have to give him 3 to 4 slip-ups. Why? Because he's going to have to try to be Houdini to get us out of one of these games. And when you try to be Houdini, that's when you put the ball in danger.
And that's the thing, you find yourself.
And that's what happens with Josh Allen. And Ron, my problem with you, Ron, is you know too much damn football to keep doing this every time we argue about this. You know too much football. You know that eventually, if he doesn't make the play ain't gonna be made.
Yeah, but listen, I've seen the man throw.
That's my only angst with you. That's my only angst with you, Ron. You know when you got a quarterback that lives and dies by the trigger like he does. You got to give him 2 to 3 games that he gonna mess it up because it's on him when but he gonna win the rest of them. And he wins every game for Buffalo. Buffalo defense ain't won a game for them yet this year. I lied. They won the Cowboys game.
I'm about to say, I was like,
but
hold on now.
Why was that? Because I've said all year, Greg, that nobody wanted to hear me. Nobody wanted to hear me, Greg. I've said all year that Buffalo is the AFC equivalent to the Dallas Cowboys.
In numerous ways.
Argue me wrong.
Very, very numerous ways.
I would agree with that.
I agree with that. So on that note, we can make this MVP conversation a part 2 because I'm pretty sure after Miami and Baltimore plays, there's going to be some new candidates depending on who wins. If Miami wins, they're going to start talking about Tua and Tyreek Hill.
Can I ask one question before we go?
Sure.
Can I ask one question before we go?
I'm listening.
Brock Purdy and them got the Commanders this weekend, right? And then I think they finished with Arizona or something like that. If Brock Purdy throws 8 touchdowns in the next 2 weeks, is he back in the conversation?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because I think people don't want to see Brock Purdy be the MVP because he's not who they expected him to be.
And here's the other thing. If here's a crazy stat, another stat that I saw today. Despite that abysmal game on Christmas, he still leads the league with 112 passer rating. That is wild.
Yeah, but at the same time, here's the thing I think about the passing, though, whenever Mo chimes back in. Here's my thing about passing and stuff, right? I've said this before about somebody else. If you throw me a 5-yard ball and then I take off for the next 70, you're getting credit 75 yards.
Yes, but he still leads the league in yards per pass attempt also.
Yes, but what we realized Monday night is, right? We realized Monday he isn't the biggest piece on the team versus the people.
But I think we already knew that though.
No. We knew that. They did not know that.
You're saying the casuals didn't know that.
The casuals did not know that. The casuals are the ones making these crazy remarks. Like my remarks is something football wise, right? Like what makes Mo go crazy. But Mo will never hear this from somebody else. I say Justin Jefferson doesn't line up on the numbers. Majority of the time, he's inside the numbers. A regular fan would not say that. I'm saying that.
They're going to look at box scores and say he's the best receiver.
Right, but he's still the best receiver. I'm not. I'm
not saying he's not.
Yeah. He tough. But I'm saying this. The problem is with a lot of these people who are analyzing these games, like they're taking the surface thing and they're either pushing it this way or they're pushing it that way. And like for me, like I'm gonna keep it even killed. Like with like Josh Allen. Who am I to say Josh Allen's some shit? He's not some shit. But what I will say is this, though, like when it comes to certain conversations, like you're the reason, but you're the cause. So it's Dak. You're the reason, but you're also the cause. And what it just falls down to, because this always could be a longevity conversation. We just had to sit down and put the layers into the TV and stuff, and you'd be like, that's the reason. Like, because like a prime example, right? I didn't put this nothing on Dak against Miami. That so-called defense did not show up against Miami. But on that note, I love y'all guys. Hit the like and subscribe button. Mo's a comedian. Greg's a genius. I'm crazy. I'm a holler.